my Z followers, and welcome to the question where you have the questions and I have the answers. And today we're going to talk about who was Marcus de Lafayette. And if you don't know that name, it is from the play Hamilton, Broadway musical, which I am a huge fan of because I am both a historical nerd and a musical nerd, and just every form of the word nerd is me. And so I know he's a very important person in the musical, everyone's favorite fighting Frenchman, but really, who was he in real life? Because after Act 1, we really don't see much of him. All we know is that he went back to France and conferred with Thomas Jefferson over the French Revolution. But one of the interesting things when I searched him up was he is called the hero of the two worlds, meaning both America and France. And we know a lot about what he did in America. We don't know what happened to him either before or after the American Revolution. So I think we should do a bit more learning as to who was the actual Marcus de Lafayette. If you have any more questions, go below, hit like, subscribe my channel if you're new, and this is my Ask a Question Saturday, which supposed to be a little segment on my channel, would turn into just my whole channel because I'm too busy to actually do it every day like I thought I would. So just ask a question below and I'll answer it on screen. So yeah, who is Marcus de Lafayette? First of all, he's from France. We already know that. He was from a large family, part of the nobility, which, if any of you guys know, that's the second estate of France. And when he was 14, he was inducted into the Musketeers, like the Musketeers, but he wasn't one of the three who were written in the book because he was only 14. Anyway, yeah, as you know, he went to America, American Revolution, all that kind of stuff, went back after the American Revolution. But what did he do once he got back with Thomas Jefferson? When he went back to France, he and Thomas Jefferson worked on the trading rights between America and France. Basically sort of like making it easier to trade back and forth as they were now allies, And he also worked against slavery. He joined the Friends of the Blacks in France to help and abolish slavery, which he actually wrote to George Washington about, and George Washington said, "I love your ideas, but I'm a slave owner and I will not free my slaves," which is another topic we'll get to eventually on this channel, maybe, but right now it's about Marcus de Lafayette specifically. So now you're asking, okay, this is what he did, and this is basically his biggest contribution. And I'm gonna ask, well, what was his contribution in the French Revolution? And I'm glad you asked, because that's actually a very interesting and kind of sad story, to be honest. As you know, he's part of the second estate, and of course y'all know the whole estate's general meeting where one representative was from each estate and they outvoted third estate. Well, actually, Lafayette, because he has a whole long name, just Lafayette, okay? Lafayette was the chosen representative for the second estate. I know you guys are probably thinking, but why would he vote against, equality for all? Well, he didn't. He actually went to the king before the meeting and said they should call a national assembly, so the entire third estate and everybody had the right to vote for what they truly thought, not just the representatives. And King did not like that. As we know, he went and he locked out the third estate, which also included Lafayette. He locked out Lafayette too, as Lafayette was the person who started the idea of equality in that general meeting. And as we know, them locking them out led to the Tennis Court Oath, which led to the Declaration of the Rights of Man, which is actually mainly written by Thomas Jefferson, who wrote our Declaration of Independence, and Lafayette, who drafted the original Declaration of Rights of Man. And Lafayette was, of course, a big advocate for equality and democracy after taking part and seeing the American government. So after all this happened, he actually came back to, before all this happened, he came back to America, did a tour, and received American citizenship from every state. This is before they had the idea of a birthright citizenship in basically anything, because these were really early countries. France didn't even have an idea of citizenship yet, It was just sort of something they didn't really talk about. But America was like, oh yeah, you fought for us. He basically like ensured our freedom. So sure, you're a citizen. So basically each state gave him their own like American citizenship. So that's why he went back to France and bragged that he was an American, all that kind of stuff. And so after the States General Meeting, after the National Assembly was formed, he was promoted to National Guard. And it was his job to make sure that the king and queen and their family was safe. And of course, that didn't turn out so well because everybody was rioting, everybody was all of this, and Lafayette hated it. He wanted there to be order and democracy, and he wanted there to be there's an actual sort of like system, not just all this rioting. And so he got the king to agree to listen to the new constitution and be an advocate for the new constitution, as long as everything went back to order. So he was sort of just like, I want equality and all, but I also want to make sure that the king and everybody is safe, because equality for all still means equality for all. And so after the storming of Versailles, this is sort of like, and these are things that just for like a time period, how like the cabinet battle too. So that all of this sort of just started on 1789, and the cabinet battle, if you look up historically, that whole conversation took place around 1791, and at this time was where everything sort of started just to decline for Lafayette, seeing that was the time that King Louis and Marie Antoinette tried to escape to Vienna, Austria, whatever, and everybody else sort of just, because they knew had such a great like swordsman, such a great everything Lafayette was, they thought that he had willingly sort of helped them try to escape. And Maximilien Robespierre, we all know who he is, Mr. Reign of Terror, I'm going to behead all of you, saw Lafayette as a royalist sympathizer, which of course he said he wasn't. He didn't know that they tried to escape, so he lost his position, and his house was ransacked. They tried to kill his wife and children, but they escaped. And so that was sort of just marked the decline of Lafayette's popularity and his sort of influence in France, as he wanted to escape back to America, using the American citizenship, but of course they decided to not partake in the French Revolution, and they wouldn't allow him back. George Washington said, we can't have you back because as you're not like an actual American citizen, even though they granted him citizenship, they couldn't use that. And so he tried to escape the revolution along with many others who were escaping through Austria, but of course Austria now saw him as a threat, so they arrested him. So that in the cabinet battle number 2, when they said before, Lafayette's a good man, he'll be fine. Actually, that was when he was arrested in Austria. They moved him to Prussia, and he tried to use his American citizenship to get out, but he couldn't because America wouldn't advocate for him as a citizen. Though, Thomas Jefferson found a loophole to send him money so that he could live, like, even though he was in prison for 5 years, he could live sort of like better in prison because he was rich. He had that money to, to sort of have like special sort of like privileges, And then later, I don't know like when exactly this was. I think it was like 1796 or something. Angelica Schuyler, yes, helped him escape from prison, which didn't help that much because even though he escaped, he got lost and they caught him and sent him back. Though he had enough money, he was able to get his family to live in prison with him for the rest of his sentence, except for George Washington, his son, who had escaped to America. But after French Revolution, well, this is still like during, but like after the violentest parts of the French Revolution, Napoleon Bonaparte freed the French prisoners of war, including Lafayette. Though Lafayette, being stuck in his ways, said he did not want to be a part of Napoleon's empire, as he did not like the way that Napoleon had risen to the throne. And so Napoleon, being the petty-ass bitch he was, said, fine, just don't be a part of my country. You can go and be an undocumented citizen, whatever, I don't care. And so Lafayette lived in his sort of his house on the border of France, not a citizen of both America or France. 1796, well, I want to keep saying like 1900s, but no, this is like 200 years before. 1796 found Lafayette free from prison but without a country to call his home. But his wife was able to advocate for him and get him a citizenship on the part that he stayed out of politics. And he happily resigned from politics at that. I think that's where I'm going to end this video. There'll be a part 2, because after this is sort of just kind of sad, you know, more of like a melancholy thing. I think this was like the most important part of him during the French Revolution, because after this is going to get like sort of really sad, you know, this is like 1800s sort of deal, like after the election, after Hamilton's death, all kind of things that happened after Hamilton that we don't really acknowledge, but it's still really important to both history and Lafayette. And if you have any questions, go through clarifying, or any other topics you want me to talk about, comment below. Have an amazing 5-day weekend. If you have a 5-day weekend, I know my school has a 5-day weekend because conferences. And I love you guys very much. I will see you all in like a month, because I don't do videos at my dad's house because he can hear me, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't like doing it there. So I love you all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like, comment, subscribe. So long, and thanks for all the fish.